Welcome, everyone. Here's some information for you about Oakland University's well-renowned postmaster certificate in educational leadership and educational specialist degree in educational leadership. If you've joined the program, welcome. If you're looking and need some information, we're looking forward to helping you with that. First of all, we have two programs, as I mentioned. It's a postmaster certificate. We'll call that a PMC. It's in educational leadership. And then we have an EDS, which is an educational specialist degree. Now, the postmaster certificate is not what we consider a terminal degree, but it is a certificate, a working certificate that you have and will be awarded. The Ed specialist is considered a terminal degree. And so, like for instance, you could put the initials EDS after your name if you earn that one. So these are similar programs. The content is similar as you move through, and there's a lot of things in common except for the length and whatever you want to do in terms of next steps, in terms of advancing your learning and mastery as an educational leader. So for the postmasters, we'll start here. We start in the fall, it's a summer one completion, or you can start in the winter and it's a fall completion at the end of fall. So this is anywhere from, about 9 months is the amount of time. The semesters vary a little bit here in summer one and summer two, but you can figure that. So this is a quick degree, relatively speaking, for the graduate level. The educational specialist is a little bit longer. You would start in the fall and go to the following fall, or start in the winter and go to the following winter. Now, these starts are dependent upon enrollments and what we can do in terms of scheduling them and so on. But we really like to have a fall start for both the postmasters and the ed specialist. And then winter start is oftentimes optional. And so that kind of gives you an idea of what that all looks like. Now, for both of these, a master's degree is required, so that's something held in common. The difference here is that it's 24 credits for the PMC and 30 credits for the ed specialist. Both of these do provide you with the building level endorsement for principals from the state of Michigan Department of Ed through their test called the MTTC, and you will be prepared for that test throughout the program. You'll have some practice tests and so on, but you will have to go take the test on your own at a testing site scheduled by the Department of Ed. It's a few hours long. It's 80 multiple choice questions, at least currently it is. And then you'll get your results from the state of Michigan. So we will help you getting ready for this test. It's based on what are called the National Educational Leadership Program Standards, or the NELP standards. And the MTTC is all aligned around those NELP standards, as are both of these programs. The other common things we have is they're both a cohort model, which means that you'll start with a group of peers and go through the program together. And our students really love this model because you can get really close with your colleagues and peers in the program, and also develop those networks, that are so important when you're working at the professional leadership level in education. Now, this is where some differences also start to happen for the PMC. You can add 4 credits if you start the PMC and then you say, I really want the EDS. So it's not a problem. You can add those. And then if you don't want to get the EDS, but you would like to get a doctorate, we have an EDD in organizational leadership, which you would be prepared to enter in. And the PMC in educational leadership would be your cognate or your specialization. So you need 20 hours for a cognate for the EDD in org leadership. And a lot of our students do this. The EDD is a program that we talk about as being designed for practitioners. So if you are a working practitioner and you want to get a doctorate, then this is a good choice for you. It's a little more streamlined. You won't write a dissertation, but you will do a capstone. So with this 20 hours of cognate for your EDD, already completed, you basically have 1/3 of a doctorate done. And what you'd have to do then is do your core courses and your capstone. Now we'll move over to the Ed specialist. And because we have slightly different requirements here, you'll see though that the 20 hours in the Ed specialist would, again, just like for the PMC, work for your specialization or your cognate in educational leadership. Your EDD, remember, is in organizational leadership, so it's a little broader. Uh, the other option is if you wanted to do a PhD in educational leadership, you could do that, but you would need 24 hours for your cognate or your specialization. So again, your Ed specialist would certainly get you there. The advantage of the PMC is it's a quicker program, a quicker route to get you. Maybe you need the credentialing from the state of Michigan. Maybe you're interested in a quick pathway to a doctorate. That's a good choice for that. The Ed specialist has an advantage because the EDS is a terminal degree like a doctorate is. A postmaster's certificate is not a terminal degree. And so you can put EDS as your initials, after your name and your signature line and so on, where you would not do that for the PMC. Now, a couple other things about the program. As I mentioned, they're based on the NELP standards, the National Educational Leadership Program standards. And so, as a part of the requirement from the state of Michigan Department of Education, they require that you complete 240 clinical hours of work. So that would be some type of dedicated leadership work outside of your normal job responsibilities. And you would log those hours. So you'd log it by day, the amount of hours, the description of it, and then you would also map it against the National Education Leadership Program standards or the NELP standards. So you're going to keep a log of these hours. Now you may think, I don't have, there's no way I can do 240 clinical hours. Well, some of your clinical hours are already built into the program. For instance, you will have a mentor throughout the program. You'll do job shadowing, cross training, special projects with your mentor, and so on. All of those hours add up. You'll probably do some extra leadership work like leading committees and teams in your school and so on. So that would all also count. And then the other idea is within your courses, you will have field-based work that you'll do. So you might be required, for instance, to go interview the director of HR or the assistant soup of HR, for instance, or you might be required to attend a board meeting or conduct a continuous improvement project in your school. So all those hours go on your log and add up. So our students really don't have any trouble getting to 240, even though it seems like a lot at first. So the way that this works is that for both the PMC and the EDS, you'll start off by selecting a mentor, and then it would be approved by your faculty member. And this mentor will stay with you for the program. And again, there'll be things you'll want to learn from your mentor about leadership. You'll do a short reflection at the end of the program as a part of your portfolio. What did you learn, and so on. At the beginning of the program, though, you and your mentor will sit down and find 3 goals that you have that match the NELP standards that you would like your mentor to help you with. So it's going to be really specific and focused in the work that you do with your mentor. And then, of course, it can grow from there depending on what you're doing there with your mentor and how that works. But really what you should do with your mentor is set up an established meeting time. It doesn't have to be for a long time. Maybe it's a half an hour at a time. It's hard to find time in a busy school day, so make it work for both of you. And then also you'll be keeping, as I mentioned before, this field log, and that will prove that you've done the 240 hours and you'll lay it out just in an Excel chart or some kind of a table to show what you've done and keep track of that. Again, starting with one of your first course is EA 7720. So you'll start right then with your mentor and your field log. Those will carry all the way into your internship 1 and 2 courses. So at the end, or when you are 80% done with your program, you can take the state test. You're responsible for that. You sign up for it, you pay for it, you go to the testing site and take the test. And then the state will come back and say, you passed or you didn't pass. And you can take the test more than once if you didn't pass. But the combination of everything that you do in the PMC or the EDS will determine whether or not you pass our programs, the PMC and the EDS. Then you will also take the state test, and that combination is what the state is expecting, right? So they're expecting that, like, let's say you don't pass our program, but you pass the state test. Well, then you're going to have a little bit of a gap there, right? So these things go hand in hand, and we'll work through them with you as dedicated faculty. And of course, you probably already know the admission requirements, but in case you're listening to this and haven't gone through this yet, it's an online application. I'll show you the links in a moment. You need your transcripts. You have to have 2 recommendations. That'll go through. It'll just be a form, so they don't need to write you a letter. You just submit their name and email as recommenders, and then they'll get a form sent via email that'll come back. Proof of English language proficiency. And of course, as soon as go ahead and get your application in, because we try to build up the fall semester first. And then if we have extra students coming in after that, then the winter semester. But again, that's very tenuous. It's based on enrollments, and it's not a for sure thing. So I mentioned the online applications for the PMC and EDS are here. You can click on those links and get into the online application. And also there's more program information there for you. And if you have questions, Dr. Eileen Johnson is a program coordinator. She's very helpful, really focused on servicing all of our students. And you can reach her at 248-370-3070, and they will pass the message along to her. Again, any of the faculty in this program, we're really dedicated. We're really student-centered. We want you to be able to take this program and walk into a building leadership position with confidence and knowledge and belief in what's possible. So I hope this has been helpful to you. But as always, if you have questions, please ask. Enjoy the learning.